All right, we are here doing a lean facility tour. We're going to start with receiving. So vehicles are purchased from the auction, and from the date of purchase, we have 14 days to get those vehicles to the IC and perform our inspection to find any issue that would be arbitratable: frame damage, flood damage, or fire. Those items we can arbitrate back to the auction and get our money back. We have to identify those items and get the vehicle back to the auction within that 14-day window. So we receive the vehicles here at the IC in a receiving zone where an inventory associate will stock these vehicles in. They scan the VIN number, and that VIN number will give us a stock number. Once we have our stock number and the vehicle is in our system, we're going to run a waiting arbitration report, which will tell us how many days are left in that 14-day window. Then we take these vehicles and we're going to line them up in an inspection zone by how many days are left in that 14-day window. So there may be a row of 1 day cars or priority cars, 5-day cars, 6 days. However many days are left in that window is how we will process those through the inspection, making sure that we never miss that arbitration date. So again, those vehicles are moved over here to an inspection zone. The inspection zone is where the inspectors or the inspection cell will pull the vehicles from. So you can see here, we are working on the last row in the inspection zone. So they will start with this vehicle or the next vehicle in line. They pull it into the inspection cell. And in the inspection cell, the first station is controls and features. Controls and features has a position A and a position B. A is always driver's side, B is always passenger side. Now each position within the station is going to follow standard work, and that standard work should be hung somewhere near the station, and that standard work is going to be used for auditing purposes by either the line lead or a manager walking through. That allows them to make sure that the technicians are following the steps in the correct order. So the technicians have memorized those steps, and they're going to perform those steps on every vehicle in that order. So position A gets the vehicle from the parking lot, checks it for cold start, looking for smoke, listening for engine noise, pulls the vehicle into the station. Position B is going to guide them onto the rack, and they're going to start inspecting the lights. So A works the lights, B checks them to make sure they're working correctly. The whole time as they find issues, they document those issues on a tablet or on paper. After the lights are checked, A goes under the hood and will check battery, fluid levels, and will look for any signs or symptoms of leaks. B, meanwhile, is checking all the tire pressures, including the spare and the components within the trunk. Once that's done, the vehicle will go in the air and they will check the undercarriage of the vehicle. They're looking for frame damage, suspension damage, or broken components. They're going to document their findings again as they find them in a tablet or on the paper, whichever process they're using at the time. Another piece of this is Drive Time has supplied the tools. So we've built toolboxes. Those toolboxes are organized a specific way, and they contain the tools they need to do their job. No more and hopefully no less. And that way it keeps it organized very specifically, and anyone working the station will know where those tools are located. So they will go through and perform their work. As they perform their work, they're going to document it on a stat board. The stat board will identify the time on the left-hand side. These are the number of vehicles we will inspect, the times those vehicles should be completed, And then we write down the stock number, the time it starts, the time it stops, and their cycle time, or the time it actually takes them to perform their standard work within the station. Anytime that cycle time goes above 15 minutes, we'd like to know why it went above that 15-minute cycle time. So each station is going to work off that time. Here we are using an andon light, so this will count up to 15 minutes. It gives a visual indicator. Green is good, yellow and red means that they are getting close to or have exceeded the cycle time, as a visual indicator for the line lead to jump in and apply labor to speed that station up to move it through. So once controls and features is complete, the vehicle moves forward to a brake and tire inspection station where there is 2 technicians, position A, position B. Again, A is driver's side, B is passenger side. Again, drive time supplied tools. Here they will check tires and brakes. We're taking the measurements to determine what the vehicle needs to get it to drive time standards. Another thing we've done here is we have organized the station so there's 2 air lines at every tire. There's an impact and a ratchet at each wheel, so we don't have to disconnect or reconnect tools. It makes it very easy to perform the work. So they will check the tire, remove the wheel and tire, and then inspect the brakes. Something else we've added is we actually remove the caliper, pull the pads out of the caliper, take the measurements of the rotor and the pads, and then as we go back together we will lubricate the slide points and clean as necessary. So we're adding value to the process. So once all 4 brakes and tires have been inspected, they will document their findings in a kiosk rather than a tablet in this station. So documents get input. From here, the vehicle will move forward to a test drive. That technician is 1 technician in the station. His job is to perform a 15-minute test drive, focusing on how does the vehicle drive. Does it drive the way it should? Does it respond the way it should? He will come back from his test drive, document his findings here in a kiosk, recording his time again on a stat board. Again, the time they start, the time they stop, and their cycle time. Puts his findings into the kiosk, and from here, the vehicle can go to one of 2 places. If any of these 3 stations, controls, features, brake and tire, or test drive, determine a vehicle needs diagnostics, it will get dropped in a diagnostic station. So test drive will deliver it to the diagnostic technician. That diagnostic technician is going to try and diagnose any issues within 15 minutes. If he cannot diagnose that issue within 15 minutes, he will put that car in a well. That well is just the car being set aside, and if the next vehicle out of test drive does not need diagnostics, now the diagnostic technician has an additional 15 minutes to spend on that car. Once the diagnostic work is complete, the vehicle will go to detail, or if the vehicle does not need diagnostics, test drive will drop the vehicle in detail. Detail will take the vehicle, they clean it up, full detail. At that point, they turn the vehicle to a cosmetic zone. They park them FIFO, so first in, first out. The cone indicates the next vehicle to be pulled by the cosmetic inspector. Cosmetic inspector should be an inventory associate. He pulls the vehicle into a cosmetic viewing box and will view the exterior of the vehicle. Once he views the exterior of the vehicle, using the template to identify any defects, he then puts the lights inside the vehicle and will light up the inside of the car so he can identify defects inside, again using the template and the standard work and the VTGs available for this station. He writes any sublet issues on the left rear window so that the sublet vendors can identify what work needs to be performed. He then enters his findings into a template or into the tablet. This is the end of the inspection. All the findings should be in the computer. Through entering it in either the tablet or the kiosk, it will populate the mechanical inspection. One technician will take that mechanical inspection and add the parts and labor associated with those repairs, which then goes to CarQuest. CarQuest is here on the line, and this allows them to look at the vehicle while it's here in the station. They can identify trim components, or if they have questions about a component we're asking for, they can look at the vehicle. At the same time the vehicle moves forward and the GPS gets installed, one technician installs the GPS. Once the GPS is complete, the vehicle will go to the sublet zones. Again, everything that's been identified on the left rear window gets parked in the first zone. So at this point, all of the parts are ordered, and the vehicle is in sublet. The goal is to get all the sublet work completed while the parts are arriving. So it will move to, the first zone should be PDR, then paint, then interior, then sublet. Now, the vehicle may not go to every zone, but the zones should be laid out in that order. The vehicle should move through the zone with minimal drive time effort. So the vendors will take the car, for instance, PDR. The PDR technician will get the car, perform the work. He will scratch it off the window and then move the vehicle to the next appropriate zone. So that car may go from PDR to paint. The paint technician will do his work, then move the vehicle to interior. The interior technician will do his work, move the vehicle to sublet. The sublet vendors or glass, radio will do their work, and then that vehicle is moved to a parts holding or parts waiting zone. Once all the sublet work's complete and the parts are here, that vehicle will then show up as available for dispatch on a production priority report. And then according to that report, we will line the vehicles up here in a build zone. And again, put a cone in front indicating the next vehicle to be processed. From there, the build technicians will pull the next vehicle in the zone. They will pull it into the shop, perform their work, do a final test drive on that vehicle, identify if the vehicle needs any monitors set or an emissions service needs to be completed. If the monitors need to be set, it will go to a monitor zone. It will allow us to apply labor to that car throughout the day, test drive it, or management, line leads, recon managers, ICGMs can drive those cars overnight to set the monitors. Once the monitors are set, it will go to a quality control zone where the quality control inspector will grab the next vehicle. They will pull it into a QC box, which is pretty much the same as the cosmetic inspection box. They will do a cosmetic inspection. They will perform the rest of the QC inspection, checking the equipment on the vehicle. They then take the pictures. Once the pictures are completed and the QC is passed, that vehicle is turned into the coordinators. They reconcile the invoices, close the repair order, and that car will count as a production unit for the day. And that's the end of the process. Thank you.